Hey, this is Mike from Inputflow, and in this video I'm going to show you the new Inputflow formula calculations. So right here I have this solar panel investment calculator, quite a basic multi-step form. I have to fill out a couple of information here. I've already pre-filled all of the fields, and then in the end I get a result for how many years it will take for my solar investment, my investment into solar panels to pay for themselves. The return on investment basically. And if we take a look here at the form editor, you can see this is the form, quite simple. And the calculations happen in this final calculation block. And here you can see all of the calculations. The variable that is being displayed in the end is the result variable, so that's where we perform all of the calculations on. As you can see here, all of these individual calculation steps or calculation actions are chained behind each other. So each operation like plus, divide by, are performed after each other. This works, however, in some situations this will run into limitations. Also, I think this is really useful for simpler calculation operations, but when it gets much more complex, it is quite easy to lose track what's going on. So what you can do now instead is you can do the following. I'm going to remove all of these calculations that we have here and then create a new calculation. Again, we take the result variable where we want to perform the calculation on. And then for the operation, I choose the set2 operation. And whenever you choose the set2 operation, you can enter a simple value, you can add an element, or you can now type in an entire formula. With any of these other calculations, you can only type in one value or one element, but here, with the set2 operation, you can type in an entire formula. So let's type in the formula that we had a few moments ago. The result in years is the total system cost divided by, and then open some parentheses, the peak power production of the solar panel setup times the hours of sunlight that we get per day, times the electricity price, times 365, times 0.4, and times 0.75. Both of them are efficiency factors, you can think of it that way. But it's not really that important, that's just how the formula works. What's important is you can now enter all of this inside of a single field. And this is the really cool thing. And you can get really advanced with these formulas. In this case, I would say it's quite a simple formula, but you can do a lot with them. For example, you could also use functions like the sine and cosine functions or absolute functions. Lots of stuff that you can do here. If you want to get advanced, you can go crazy with it. Let's take a look at the live site if we get the same result. So I'm going to reload the page, quickly enter all of the details again, 15,000, 6, 8 and 0.25, and you can see we get the exact same result, 11.42 years. So the formula works as expected. Now let's say you want to run a second calculation on this result step. So let's say in the final step you want to add a calculation where you calculate how long it would take if we included taxes in all of the costs. So you can add a calculation, create calculation, and we're also going to use the set2 formula again because I want to show you an important pattern. Because now, if we, let's say we want to add 19% taxes, we could do something like multiply by 1.20 if you have a 20% tax rate. This adds 20%. However, this will not work because whenever we want to apply a formula to an existing variable value, we have to enter that variable inside of the formula itself. So what we have to do here is we have to take the result and set it to the result, which means the current value of the result, multiply the current value of the result variable by 1.2, and then store the new value inside of the result variable again. So you can think of this set2 as an override. You're overriding a variable and the calculation is based on the old value of the variable, then you have to somehow include it in the formula. So this is a very important pattern that you will use in about 80% of the time, where the the formula starts with the variable that you're performing the calculation on, and then some type of operations. Now you might ask yourself, okay, why didn't we do this in the first one? The answer is because here the result variable was still at 0. So yes, we could have added the result variable here, result plus, and then whatever we calculate here, but it wouldn't make sense because the result is at 0, and 0 plus a value, you can leave out the 0. So these are Inputflow's new formula calculations, and they're really powerful. You can absolutely go crazy with them and do a lot of advanced calculations.